And so here we go with the very first of the films that I watched in July of this year. We started off watching 2020's film, The Wolf of Snow Hollow. A small town cop and his lackluster team of officers must solve a series of brutal murders that are occurring on the full moon. As he's consumed by the hunt for the killer, he struggles to remind himself that there's no such thing as werewolves. Well, what can I say? Edge of the seat horror? Gore fest? Scary as? No. It's a cringy black comedy horror thriller. It's funny in places, but I can't say that it's any more actually than an okay film. There were two plots running through the film, and that's where I felt that it fell down, to be honest. It would have been much better if they'd have done one of the plots well instead of two of the plots not as well. And that's why I'm struggling to give it 5 out of 10. Next up came 1988's Bull Durham. I started off watching this film thinking to myself that it wasn't going to be another Field of Dreams. And it wasn't. And that's a good thing. There's a fan who has an affair with one minor league baseball player each season, and she meets an up-and-coming pitcher and the experienced catcher assigned to him. It's a rom-com with baseball as the background, if you like. There are good performances from Kevin Costner, Susan Sarandon and Tim Robbins. It's not a bad film at all, and it's all the better for it not being full of sporting cliches. The relationship of the three main characters works very well, and I have to say I enjoyed the film. And any film with 60 Minute Man playing in the film is fine with me. I give it 7 out of 10. Next up I watched 2022's Ticket to Paradise. I know I shouldn't say this, but I do love a rom-com, especially when, like this one, it's a little bit different. A divorced couple team up and travels to Bali to stop their daughter from making the same mistake they did 25 years earlier. The chemistry between George Clooney and Julia Roberts keeps this film moving along quite nicely. The location is gorgeous and it's a fun story. I like this film because it took me to another place and had me laughing for most of the way through it. And that's what endeared me to this film. And that's also why I'm giving it 8 out of 10. And next up, I thought it was about time I took a look at 1977's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I've been avoiding it since it first came out, as earlier in the year I'd seen Star Wars and that had bored me to tears and I couldn't face another dose of that. But as I was doing this series of videos, I thought to myself now was probably a good time to take a look at it. After an encounter with UFOs, an electricity linesman feels undeniably drawn to an isolated area of the wilderness where something spectacular is about to happen. But it wasn't spectacular for me. In fact, it went completely over my head. I watched it all, but let's just say that this type of film isn't my cup of tea. I struggled pretty much all the way through the film. In fact, it didn't really hook me at all. Don't get me wrong. The special effects looked great and I can see why other people like the film. But it's just not for me. And that's why I only give it 5 out of 10. Straight after that though, I watched 1998's The Horse Whisperer. Now this film is right up my street. The mother of a severely traumatized daughter enlists the help of a unique horse trainer to help the girl's equally injured horse. This one's more character driven, and Robert Redford's quiet, reflective acting in this film actually made it for me. He doesn't just work on the horse, but he helps the daughter and the mother too. And the beauty of the surroundings doesn't hurt this film either. It's a slow burn of a film coming in at around 2.5 hours long. But not for 1 minute during the film did I feel bored. I suppose it's because story-based films seem to grab me more than other types. This film wasn't bad at all. 8 out of 10 from me. Next up, we moved on to 2022's film, The Immediate Family. Now, if you did check out The Wrecking Crew that I talked about last month, and you'd like that, there's a good chance you're going to like this, because it was made by the same people. This documentary follows the life and works of legendary 1970s sessions musicians who have featured on some of the most iconic recordings of the era. Featuring the likes of James Taylor, Carole King, Linda Ronstadt, David Crosby, and many more, It gives you an insight into some of the players of the hits you loved, but whose names you've probably never known. This is another of those cracky music documentaries that you've just got to see. From me, it's a 10 out of 10. After that, I watched 2023's The Appleton Ladies Potato Race. And I watched the film totally just because I loved the title of it. Penny returns to her childhood home for the Appleton show and its famous potato race. She's outraged that the men's first prize turns out to be $2,000 and the winning women's prize is only $200. She's determined to right the wrong. And that's the premise of this gentle Australian comedy drama that works actually quite well. It has that small town community feeling, and it's an enjoyable little film that does not take itself too seriously. It's a fun little film with a nice feel to it, and that's why I give it 7 out of 10. Next up, I saw 1940's His Girl Friday. Now, the reason I watched this was because I watch a lot of the Criterion Closet, in which stars go in and pick the films that they've liked over the years, and this film gets picked quite a lot. Walter Burns is an irresistibly conniving newspaper publisher desperate to woo back his paper's star reporter, who also happens to be his estranged wife. She's threatening to quit and settle down with a new beau. But as Walter knows, she has a weakness. She can't resist a juicy scoop. Now, Cary Grant and Rosalind Russell must win an award for this film for the speed in which they spoke. They were firing like machine guns at each other all the way through. The plot has numerous twists and turns in it, and the cast works really well together. It's a really good film, and I gave it 9 out of 10. Next up, I watched the 2017 film 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I saw it a few years ago and thought it wasn't a bad film, but recently it was shown on the TV, and I thought to myself, do you know what, I'll give it another go. It's about a mother who personally challenges the local authorities to solve her daughter's murder when they fail to catch the culprit. The subject is serious, but there is a lot of humour running through it. Don't get me wrong, it's not a comedy, but as I watched the film progress, I did catch myself grinning from time to time through it. The cast is excellent. Frances McDormand is so good in this, and she has great support from Woody Harrelson and Sam Rockwell. It's actually a really good film, and I enjoyed it immensely. I give it 9 out of 10. The next film I got around to watching was 1935's Top Hat. Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers star in this musical, which is actually a film about mistaken identity. An American dancer comes to Britain and falls for a model whom he initially annoys, but she mistakes him for his goofy producer. And that's where the problems start. It's the 4th of their 10 films together, and it's the best of them as well, I think. It's light-hearted escapism, with show-stopping routines, and for its age, it's a film that's held up well. The songs are great, the dancing is sublime, and the comedy of it makes it for an enjoyable view. It may be black and white, but it still looks sumptuous. And for someone like me who loves those classic musicals, it was just great. 9 out of 10. The next film I watched was 1971's Shaft. It's dated, corny at times, but great overall. A crime lord hires a private eye to find and retrieve his kidnapped daughter. He calls on Shaft, who's hotter than Bond, cooler than Bullet, and it's full of action. You'd not hear the language used in this film today, and some of the street talk sounds as uncool as can be, but the film is of its time. Richard Roundtree plays John Shaft, the detective who's known by everyone. He's scared of no one and lives his life on his terms. Even the police grudgingly respect him. I've seen this film tons of times, and I loved it every single time. And the Isaac Hayes soundtrack, oh, that was so good I bought that too. I've got to give this film 9 out of 10. Next was 1965's Thunderball, and it's more of what you expect to see when you watch a James Bond film. James Bond heads to the Bahamas to recover 2 nuclear warheads stolen by Spectre agent Emilio Largo in an international extortion scheme. Well, I'm not a big Bond fan, and I'm not watching the films in order. The action scenes are really well shot, the Bond girls are really easy on the eye, and the villain didn't seem quite villainous enough. But the story seemed really slow to me. If the film had have been under 2 hours, I think it may have seemed more exciting. But the big question I always have to ask is, if he's a spy, why does James Bond tell everybody his name? It was okay. 6 out of 10 from me. After that, it's a Deb's pick. She chose this one, 1951's On the Riviera. Now, if you like Danny Kaye, which I do, you get twice as much of him in this film. In this fast-paced remake of the Maurice Chevalier vehicle Folie Bergère, Danny Kaye plays both an American entertainer and an heroic French military pilot. It's a lovely disarming film with a comedy theme running throughout it. The picture quality is a joy to watch, the scenery is lovely, and it's a case of mistaken identities. If you like singing and dancing, which I do, then you'll like this. The story is a well-worn one, but it's a film I enjoyed nonetheless. 7 out of 10 from me. The next one we watched was something completely different, 2024's The Last Stand of Ellen Cole. I really liked the premise of this story. When an unscrupulous developer resorts to extreme measures to get rid of a feisty tenant from a property, which is getting in the way of his new development, he doesn't count on the fact that this apparently harmless old woman is in fact a trained killer and would do anything to protect her beloved farm. Think an 80-year-old female version of Clint Eastwood, and you're getting on the right track. Lin Shaye, who plays Helen, carries the movie. The rest of the cast are caricatures of characters really, but it's fun to see an old lady whooping the baddie. If you're looking for an hour and a half to kill, then this film isn't going to tax you. And it was a fun watch really. I'll give it 7 out of 10. The final film I watched this month was 2008's Dean Spanley. Now, I'd never heard of this, but one of our viewers to the channel sent me the DVD to watch, and I'm quite pleased that he did. Set in Edwardian England, where upper lips are always stiff, and the men from the colonies are not to be trusted, Fisk Sr. has little time or affection for his son. But when the pair go to visit an eccentric Indian, they start a strange journey that eventually allows the old man to find his heart. The film's got a great cast, with Peter O'Toole, Sam Neill, Brian Brown, Jeremy Northam and Judy Parfitt playing the 5 main roles of it. It's an enjoyable laid-back story that has a good feel to it. As I said before, I'd never heard of the film, and it was a great way to round off this month's viewing. I give it 8 out of 10. And that's this month's selection of films that I've watched. If you click up there, you'll get the opportunity to see all of the films I've watched since March. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.